Child poverty is the most pressing challenge in North Lanarkshire. Over 20,000 children are living in poverty. This video analyses the current leadership approach, proposes evidence-based solutions grounded in leadership theory, and outlines a transformative path forward. The Child Poverty Scotland Act 2017 recommends that it is the responsibility of local authorities and NHS boards to jointly develop and publish an annual child poverty action plan. North Lanarkshire's child poverty rates exceed national averages, with over 30% of children in constituencies like Motherwell living below the poverty line. Despite efforts by the Tackling Poverty team, which secured $4.8 million in additional benefits for families last year, systemic gaps persist. The Scottish Government's interim targets for 2023-2024 were missed, with relative poverty at 22%. This crisis demands urgent, innovative leadership. There are 1 in 4 children living in poverty in North Lanarkshire, which is higher than the national average of 1 in 5. According to Sebela 2025, there are several reasons why child poverty is so high in Scotland. The main reasons why child poverty is affecting the finances of families are unemployment and low welfare benefits. Unemployment levels sit at 3.2%, which is lower than the national average of 3.5%. The Council advise in their Child Poverty Action Plan that the number of children leaving school and remaining in further and higher education has increased, with 24.3% of pupils leaving school and entering employment matching the national average. The Scottish Government introduced the Education Maintenance Allowance for young adults who wish to continue with their academic learning and require financial assistance. In 2022 and 2023, 876 applications were approved by the Council for an educational maintenance allowance, and 944 applications were approved in 2023 and 2024, showing a marginal increase in applications. However, despite claims, the Council took the decision to cut education services in their 2024 and 2025 budget motion, which impacted the services on screen. According to the University of Bristol, 1 in 5 households, 21% of Scotland, is currently living in financial difficulty, with the largest of these Scottish households of current working age. The University of Bristol advises that Scottish households are having difficulty in heating their homes, cutting back on meals, and eating lower quality foods as a result. Chambers, 2020, states that school meals is the formal stand on improving child malnutrition, and states that since the financial crisis in 2008, there have been several policies introduced to deal with childhood hunger, with 1 in 5 children estimated to be living in households which are experiencing food scarcity, and with this a 73% increase in the number of households accessing food banks. To aid children in food poverty, the Scottish Government provide free school meals to families in receipt of benefits. The Council set up the Club 365 service in 2020, following a decision at Policy and Strategy Committee. The service was set up to ensure that children had access to free meals over the school holidays. Despite this running successfully and delivering 88,000 meals, the Council decided to remove this service from 2024. North Lanarkshire Council's approach to child poverty exemplifies transactional leadership, a style defined by Burns as focusing on exchanges of valued things rather than enduring purpose. This management style relies on rewards and punishments to achieve specific outcomes. In practice, we see this through their emphasis on crisis-driven interventions, benefit maximization, emergency debt relief, and reactive welfare officer support in schools. While these measures generated $48 million in additional income for families last year, they fundamentally address symptoms rather than root causes. Transactional leadership relies on short-term rewards, like benefit increases, but doesn't inspire systemic change. Child poverty rates rose by 3% in Airdrie and Shot since 2020, proving this model's inadequacy. Without addressing structural barriers, low wages, educational disparities, and housing cost progress will remain stagnant. As Bass noted in the 1990s, transactional leaders work within existing structures rather than challenging them. This explains why the Council's approach maintains the status quo, focusing on management by exception, where intervention only occurs when problems become severe. This reactive model lacks transformational vision, using at what Maslow would classify as the lower levels of need satisfaction. The Council's initiatives do not empower communities or disrupt generational poverty cycles because they prioritize processes over forward-thinking ideas. True to transactional theory, they measure success through short-term metrics like benefit uptake rather than sustainable poverty reduction, explaining why child poverty rates continue to rise despite these interventions. Transactional leadership alone lacks empathy. Adding an adaptable, collaborative approach would provide a more positive result to tackling child poverty. Engaging the local community in the decision-making process will enable informed choices and community responsibility for success. The old Chinese proverb, "Give a man a fish and you feed him for a day. Teach a man to fish and you feed him for a lifetime," highlights part of the problem with current strategies. Education plays a significant role in the solution of this problem. From child nurseries through primary, secondary, further and higher education, there needs to be studies to alleviate poverty, whilst providing individuals the opportunity to gain qualifications to aid a career. Life skills should form the basis of curriculum. From growing food, cooking food, financial planning and organizational skills should be fundamental to this. Involvement of the education sector is imperative to achieve this. From the basic introduction level to the degree level, education should embrace these concepts. Furthermore, local community involvement of local groups can reinforce these concepts. Currently, many of the groups provide food banks, which are another factor in treating the symptoms rather than root cause. Community allotments, social educational groups such as sewing, dancing and life skills again gains buy-in from the community and provide options for self-improvement. Local government could radically adapt their spending policies to accommodate some of these changes, whilst lobbying central government for more support. Providing the education and skills to people will allow them to grow, improve their situation, and later improve the community and the economic environment around them. Poverty is measured across 3 scales in Scotland. Poverty, deep poverty and very deep poverty, Sebula, 2025. Many variables are used, however. The fundamental issue is education and motivation of individuals in a supportive environment. Local government is constrained within budgets and ring-fenced finances for specific purposes. To eradicate poverty and break the cycle, a courageous and disruptive element will be required. This should not cause dispute within the management and community groups, but rather in the policies and procedures that have always been the norm. An innovative approach engaging all stakeholders to help all. Crisis leadership could be decided as an initial methodology due to the circumstance, but this may be conveyed as more activist, which could lead to concerns of the actual objectives. Clear communication being essential in management of the objectives would naturally move towards situational leadership, which adapts as needed to maintain overall objectives within ethical boundaries. This solution would not lend itself to anti-leadership theories due to the nature of the organization. Leadership and ethical decision-making are not so much a series of stages one applies and then implements, but a kind of performance, which one needs to be able to read, decode, and respond to. Audi, 2009. The leader of the council involved needs to be bold, courageous, disruptive, and inclusive. Critics may argue this is costly, but evidence shows proactive investments yield long-term savings. For every $1 spent on early childhood education, society gains $13 in reduced welfare and crime costs. Heckman, 2009. By reallocating 20% of crisis response budgets to prevention, North Lanarkshire could fund community hubs offering childcare, skills training, and legal aid. In tackling child poverty, the approach does not address the systemic and deeply entrenched nature of generational poverty. Diminishing leadership to a small exchange of rewards for compliance does not work. In contrast, a courageous and collaborative leadership style cultivates innovation, sharing responsibility, and long-term commitment among communities. By implementing this approach, leaders can build inclusive collective partnerships, engage local communities, and create sustainable solutions that uplift vulnerable children and fracture a generational cycle. The fight against childhood poverty demands a bold and strong vision, empathy, and collaborative decisive action that overstep transactional management style in favor of productive change. Poverty scars the lives and life chances of our children.